right. So, a little bit about me first and everything. Fun thing, I'm a software engineer by heart. I'm a big problem solver and everything. So, one of the things I like to say, one of the beautiful things about being a software engineer is that you can build anything you think of. And one of the problems about being a software engineer is you can build anything you think of and everything. So, my time and my interest kind of spikes and everything sometimes. So, I've been adding discipline lately and everything of not try to build everything in width, but now I'm building in depth with artificial intelligence. So my first kind of project and everything I worked on, my first startup was a sneaker platform. So big fan of sneakers like Air Jordans, Nikes, LeBrons. And so at the time I wanted a way I can view my collection and other people's collection on my phone. And so initially it wasn't anything like there, out there. So I started to teach myself and everything how this could work, how it could look, how it can feel. One of the first things I did was teach myself UI, UX design. Interesting thing about this, started this application like 2012. And if you remember anything about 2012, there wasn't a lot of online resources to learn anything much around focused around tech. So everything's kind of focused still in books and even YouTube where they didn't have a lot of, opportunities to like learn in very different variations. From there, I kind of kept building. I worked for companies like Uber. And so when I was in the Atlanta office up there, worked at a company called Treehouse, which is an ed tech platform, and then worked at a company called also Udacity, which became the second largest ed tech platform in the country. On my own time, I started to kind of build other things. There is an Instagram comedian by the name of Haha Davis. He's kind of well known for like having his own sayings, on his own wordplay. The NFL started quoting him. NBA started kind of like solicit him to as well. So me and my friends would always kind of be texting each other like a lot of his sayings. And so one day I just like, man, he should kind of have his own like emoji platform and everything, because we're always texting it. We know what it means. And so I reached out to him, shot him a DM on Instagram. I said, hey, I got this idea, told him what it was. He's like, hey, I like it. Here's my manager information. Let's see what you can do. And so I flew out to Detroit and everything to meet him, pitched him my idea. Interesting thing about this, very transparency, I had no clue how to build it. I know I could figure it out though, but I had no clue and everything. So I said, hey, give me like 2 months. I'll be able to figure it out. So they was like, all right, you on clock and everything. So boom, went from there, started to kind of figure it out. And I got to be able to get it at lunch. We lunched it on a Sunday and woke up that Thursday. Something told me to check the app store. Really didn't know what I was looking for. And went to the app store, started scrolling. And there's like a million apps and stuff in the app store. And boom, it pops up. #1 app in the app store, paid category. And so from there, I was like, I think I know a thing or two. Let's start figuring some things out. After Udacity, which is the second largest ed tech platform, I went for work at a company called Lightship Capital, which was one of the largest black-owned venture capital firms based out of the Midwest, ran by a black woman. And so I became engineering director and stuff over there while we help startups, kind of like close their gap when it comes to any technical hurdles, also with technical placements and stuff. Very uniquely, the Lightship Capital also had a nonprofit sector side to it as well. So if you know anything about nonprofits, one of the main things they need to do is raise capital and everything. And so leadership came to me and said, hey, Marlon, these grants are taking a long time, for us to figure out, for us to write and all these things like that. Can you help us out? We had just got access to a platform called OpenAI. And so basically what I was able to figure out is I was able to build an AI grant writer. And so it helped us immensely and everything throughout this process. The interesting thing that we didn't know at the time is what we've built initially was we allowed people inside the company to like prompt and get their responses, which is very, very similar to ChatGPT as well. Another interesting point about that was 3 years ago. So we've heard a lot and everything about AI. We've seen the news, we've seen the articles, we use ChatGPT and everything. Tell me some of your concerns. Like, what are your concerns with artificial intelligence today?
How much should you share? How much?
Oh, I like it.
And is it, how private is it?
How much are you sure? How private is it? I love it. What else? Bias in system. Yeah, I got a friend of mine. She built a whole company simply around that problem around, by itself. What else? What else are some of your concerns?
It's not a concern of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned that they might use it the wrong way.
Define wrong way. Like what?
For to harm other people, to steal information,
Scams, spamming.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this happening is now just gives us another tool for it to kind of continue, for sure. What else?
My concern is how to be a major player in it. Like,
Hmm.
what area of focus should you be focusing on? How should you go about creating a business and taking advantage of opportunities in the space?
All right, everyone get into that in a second. I love it. Everything. What else? Anything else?
I think the sixth and all that is the concern that you're not using it. You're not using something that could help you be a creator, help you to move forward with any idea that you may have had. That, for instance, for me, not being able to design something with my hands, but having all these thoughts in my head that I would love to do. And now there's a possibility that this can happen and be like you.
Yeah, usability. One of the things I like to say today with generative AI, and that one of the main things it does today, it removes the blank page syndrome. So that thought process, that empty thought process of where do I start, how do I get started, just asking it a simple question, it can kind of get you, along the way. Anything else? Any other concerns?
For instance, being in the school environment and thinking that kids are not being taught in a new way. The school environments have not changed, and they're still teaching kids as though it's 1965.
Thank you for that. Let me take a step back real quick. So this right here is we're doing a 4-part series, of basically how AI is going to become your assistant in your life. Today's series is circle around like founders and business owners and everything. She just brought up a subject to me, reminded me, next week, Friday as well, is going to focus around restaurant owners. So how do restaurants, from small businesses to large businesses, incorporate something like AI, into their operations. The third week is education leaders, and everything. And so basically, like you said, the education model hasn't changed. And I would say for almost like half a century and stuff now. And we're still teaching not only young ones but older individuals the same kind of way and everything. But we've also seen that there's gaps and everything. And I think right now this is maybe the first opportunity where we can change and kind of structure, close those gaps when it comes to education. And then the fourth week is going to be around for government leaders and nonprofit owners of how do they incorporate this as well. So, question for you. Here's a question. What innovation was blamed for a rise in crime, causing something called brain fever, and also destroying civil society? Internet? Great guess. Corona, a little bit older. A little bit older than that. TV. A little bit older than that. Wait, is it older than that? I think so. So innovations, huh? Older than that. So it was blamed for a rise in crime. It's causing a thing called brain fever, and also, kind of destroying community societies. Any last guess? What was it? The elevator was blamed for rising crime because it gave people the opportunity to get into buildings quicker. Doctors saying that, hey, people not going in the elevator was now they can kind of get a thing called brain fever. some of your specialists and stuff too as well.
Exactly.
So it was a,
Sorry.
so basically the process just moved to its motion sickness, but they thought it was going to be terminal at that time. I saw all to say is that for some of these, they're not wrong because it's innovation. We're trying to figure it out. We're also, as human beings, we're pessimistic to kind of any new thing, any new approach, any new way of thinking, change, and everything. Particularly, sometimes it can affect somebody's pockets as well. We're a little bit kind of a little closer to like, hey, I don't want this to change as of yet. But there's been many times and stuff with our lifetime where big changes proven that, hey, it can be a really big benefit as long as we come together with our concerns, with our questions, with our skepticism, but also to build for, all together. So generative AI. So generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that allows people, like artists and everything, to create anything from like written music, images, video, simply just kind of giving it a prompt, so kind of giving it a question, a suggestion, like a format, help me please write an article on, while pets, are better kept inside versus outside, and it can help you kind of do that and stuff as of today. So, has anybody not heard of ChatGPT? Has everybody used ChatGPT at least once? Okay, cool. So with ChatGPT, you got now a bunch of different platforms like ChatGPT. You got Bard, you got Stable Diffusion, you got Dolly. So all these platforms are platform examples of generative AI. So with these platforms and everything, how are they built? How did they get here? So the company called OpenAI, who created ChatGPT, what they did was they created a thing called a large language model. So a large language model and everything, to kind of create your own, you got to do this and stuff in 3 steps, 3 main steps and everything. So the first thing is like gathering a data set. So OpenAI did a sensational job of scraping the internet. So like from its existence and everything to, when it was started and everything into now. So what that means is they found a way where they can kind of take all the text off of certain websites and everything. So anything like blogs, Reddits, YouTube transcripts, recipes, books, articles, so basically they figured out a way how to gather all this information stuff into one place. Second step of that is that you start to train the model, which means you started to define what these segments of text are. Hey, this is a recipe, these are books, these are articles, these are movie transcripts, these are music lyrics, and you start to kind of like tell this process is called machine learning. The third step of this is tuning the model. So you can take those same recipes and say, hey, this is a recipe for sweet potato pie. The sweet potato pie for the recipe typically is going to serve 5 to 8 people. And you start to get very, very, very defined, So what do you do with that information? Well, just like you see with, we're using ChatGPT, now you have the ability to ask it questions. It's not searching the web and stuff anymore, at least not in this consumer product. So basically, when you ask to start the questions, it starts to concatenate its own creative answer. Right. And so now it may take the top 100 blogs, posts, articles, books, and everything, and give you a summarized response of what you asked it for, right? And just in like a general context. So in this area of innovation, I think I heard somebody say this like, hey, I think all of us right now are trying to figure out the impact of this. How big is it going to be? Is it going to affect me as much as I think of it as a business owner, as a consumer, as a manager? How big is it going to affect us? I'll give you an example. The Industrial Revolution, as you know, was a transition from handcrafted methods to machine production. led to rise of factories, that kind of like, vasted or, communities and organizations. The Industrial Revolution was also known for, it increased the GDP by zero point 0.7 annually year over year over year. So from the late 1800s to the early 1900s, that's equivalent to around about 12 to 14% increase in the GDP. The Green Revolution, aka the Farming Revolution, from the 1940s to 1970s, was also increased the GDP from like 0.3% annually year over year. And we saw the impact and stuff with it, and we still kind of feeling the impact and stuff now. And now the continuous internet revolution, as we see from everything from cell phones to social media, has increased the GDP about 0.6% annually year over year. And it's still kind of finding, a consistent growth and stuff from there. So what does that mean for AI? McKinsey said that they think artificial intelligence, generative AI, the economic impact is going to be anywhere from $2.6 to $4.4 trillion increase in the GDP. That equates to about 14% increase. So they're taking this and they broke it off into like 4 different categories. For companies, they're saying that it's going to impact 4 different areas. Customer operations, it says it's going to have about an impact of about 4.4 billion or so there. So we can think about customer operations as, let's think about chatbots and everything. I know chatbots sound very general, but I'm going to show you how very creative you can get and everything with chatbots and everything for your day-to-day consumer, for your writer, for your, bakery store owner. I'm going to show you how very creative this can get and everything. Marketing and sales. Writing a document of saying like, hey, help me write a document of creating a marketing strategy, for my small businesses that sells baby turtles, whatever it may be. We're going to see impact and stuff there. Software engineering. With me building and stuff pretty much every single day, there's not a day that passes now where I'm not using these as an assistant to myself. Now organizations, companies are starting to integrate this and everything for their employees as well. I think one of the things too as well, the question we've been presenting is how fast these things are going to take our jobs and everything. And I will kind of refocus it and ask is like, I don't think in a lot of these areas it's going to take our jobs. I think it's going to become an assistant to all of us. And now there are some jobs and stuff for sure. I mean, we're seeing this right now at your local grocery stores. We got self-checkouts, things like that, but also too, we're also seeing the importance of human interactions, even in some of those areas too as well. There's a very different experience when you go to Walmart, when you go to Publix. Not saying one is wrong, one is right, but the experience is different. I think one thing as human beings, we really appreciate experience. Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's. Yeah.
Actually, devil's advocate, that has been happening way before we knew about AI. It's just, it could be just the way they do business. It's a difference.
She said it. Yeah, she said this has been happening way before we know about artificial intelligence. For sure. Yes, sir. Say, can robots deliver food? Yes, we're seeing that right now. There's companies out in San Francisco that now has, it's like robots about the size of this that has like a lid to it that you can open up where you can place hot food in, and then it uses something like autonomous systems and everything to navigate the sidewalks to go deliver it to said consumer.
They're doing it downtown.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. I stayed in California like 3 years ago, and I saw it then. I was like, this is wild. Yeah, this is wild. We're also seeing that too with restaurants. We're also seeing with grocery delivery as well. Drones, Amazon and stuff. They're doing a big drone campaign where in certain areas and everything, 90% of Amazon packages are under 5 pounds and everything. And so if it's under 5 pounds, it can be delivered via drone and kind of just dropped off in your backyard. Everything. Yes, sir. Speak up for me. Say it again.
It was about to say delivery drones, but you said it already.
You said.
You were about he was about to say delivery drones, but
Hmm.
you said it already.
Oh yeah,
2 years ago, he was doing a program with the police in Tulsa.
drone delivery.
They already had drones that were pursuing, like, you know,
Criminals.
perpetrators. Yeah, so
There's
it's getting
there's
more
pros and cons to
advanced.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Everything.
those are other types of issues.
Right. Right. And then the last category we here is R&D and everything. So basically, um, um, research. We're going to start to see a very much impact and stuff from that when it comes to like generative AI. So I mentioned kind of already. Um, These are, I mean, McKinsey and Company did a sensational job of like breaking this down. But this is also too, like Derek said, is a very like wide level, mostly like for big companies and everything of like how they already think about this, and I will be very transparent. Most of 99% of the companies, even the big ones, are still figuring this out. Nothing's been, yet, laid down as a foundation stuff as of yet. But now we're going to kind of start to kind of narrow it in, for your, for you, for us and everything, for your day-to-day business owner. If it's anything from a dry cleaner to an accountant, I'm going to show you how some of these impacts is going to have with us too as well. So why even think about or take in artificial intelligence and everything as a possibility into your operations, into your, thought process, into your strategy and everything. So one of the main three things and stuff it can help you do as of today, it can help streamline operations. They can be anything from, automating tasks, from emailing, everything, helping do analysis on your sales, and then also too, it can help enhance decision making, as well, data-driven decision making. I built, I built. I was just trying to see if I can figure it out. I use a data set from Kaggle, which was basically it was a data set of like 300 different toy items. And so I just kind of created like a fake toy store company. And I kind of want to see what I could do with this. So I had 3 different items and everything. And so basically I uploaded, the data and everything. And I started to use it and everything as like a data set. And I said, hey, I started to use the AI and then I say, let me kind of start thinking like a consumer. Put it in the perspective of what if grandmother comes to a site, kind of going back to the ability of like chatbots. What if grandmother comes to the site and just says, do you have a toy for my 7-year-old daughter? She likes shapes and colors. That's it. It has the ability to give you a response. Not only a response, a recommendation. Multiple recommendations. Once you kind of like, give it, your data, your inventory, it has the ability to do that, even off a slight suggestion or a 7-word question off of that. It has the ability to understand, kind of fill the gaps in of what grandma may be looking for. And then from simple there, order. I mean, this is something that we haven't seen before. Netflix did a research paper, released one like 2 weeks ago, and so it said large language model is going to become your next product recommendators. Product recommendators. That really, really intrigued me. What does that mean? That means now, as I'm not sure about you, but I know for me, I can spend quite some time just looking for a movie to play on Netflix. Okay, when I go through the categories, things like that, we're going to come to a place where you be able to give it your mood. Hey, I have a first date coming over. She typically, likes action. She's funny, as well. I want the mood to kind of like be able to watch something, but her and I interact as we're watching, watching this movie. Enter. Recommendations. This is the process and stuff that we're streaming towards. Or, hey, I just moved to Miami. I'm looking for local events and everything to help me learn about AI, cooking lessons. Looking for also co-working spaces that typically may be under $100 a month, throughout the city. Recommendations. typically now when you put something like that in Google, Google's going to give you the response, mostly others. Not exactly kind of what you're looking for. So with that, Powered by did a research and everything earlier this year, and they talked to I think a couple hundred companies, and they asked them what are like some of the biggest and top obstacles of adopting artificial intelligence. The number one thing was need for technical support. Second was cost implementation, skill set requirements, privacy issues, security issues, the amount of data that's needed, keeping up with the new versions, that's a big one, and technology limitations. I would say all these are pretty good. Here's what's interesting. I can guarantee you all those numbers has drastically decreased in a amount of just 6 months. Technical support and everything, technical support, that's definitely still there. That really comes down to how deep do you want to go with this? But I'll show you some examples of how you can kind of get over there and stuff for now. Everything. Cost implementation. Stanford just did an article and they said that basically they gave a challenge to the students where they were able to train a large language model for under $1,000. OpenAI, it's rumored, that they were they spent like north like $100 million to train, their large language model for ChatGPT. That cost is coming down. Skill set requirements. This is very interesting too as well, even as a software engineer, because as a software engineer, one of the things I absolutely can't stand, do not want to do, don't have remotely any interest in is anything legal. I ready to throw up. Marketing, don't like it either. But now I've been able to close some of those gaps because I can use tools like ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion, and I say, hey, I want you to act as a startup lawyer. I want to act as a marketing professional. And I want you to help me with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And I kind of keep, giving the suggestions, questions, kind of giving response. And again, it removes kind of like that blank page syndrome that we talked about. Privacy issues, I would probably say that's probably the only one that still has the biggest question mark, honestly. Because also privacy issues is different per company. So for example, Pinterest, they just integrated a tool called Copilot for their software engineers. And that was like 2 weeks ago, everything. OpenAI announced that they have an enterprise version now of ChatGPT for big companies to use. But even still, big companies are still kind of like, yeah, I don't know, you say you're not gonna use my data, because now you have the ability, I'm giving you a lot of my secret sauce, stuff here, from these big companies. So there is still concerns right there. I think this is probably gonna remain for quite some time. And this is also too why a lot of big companies started to kind of build their own versions of such. Just because, they don't know if they can trust, the big companies. So so if you know too, ChatGPT launched like late November of this past year. OpenAI has been around for about 6, 7 years. So they started off as a nonprofit, started by a founder. Actually, Elon Musk is one of the original founders. And then I can't never remember the CEO's name now. Huh? Sam Altman is the current founding, everything. And it was started, it was another guy, I can't think of his name. But this just started like late November. And we've already seen the tremendous impact, and it hasn't even been a year yet of such tool. So some of the timeline stuff here, OpenAI started late November. From there, we saw companies like Cohere, which allows you to kind of create your own version, your own large language model and everything. Also, too, your own large language model on different languages. Japanese, Spanish, Vietnamese, Portuguese. We also see Microsoft introduce their new platform in February, along with Meta. They created Llama, and they just released Llama 2 like 2 months ago at an enterprise level, completely free, to the community. Salesforce got involved. OpenAI released GPT-4 in March. Was it March? I feel like so forever ago. We see Bloomberg got involved. Actually, McKinsey just announced their own generative AI assistant to their employees, I think like 6 weeks ago. So we're already seeing like the tremendous impact and stuff over here. Speed of adoption for a tool like ChatGPT, it took Netflix 3.5 years to reach 1 million users. Kickstarter, 2.5 years. Airbnb, 2.5 years. Twitter, 2 years. Foursquare, 13 months. Facebook, 10 months. Dropbox, 7 months. Spotify, 5 months. Instagram, 3 months. Chat, GPT, 5 days. It's a big change. Also, too, something's get really good if people willing to pay for it. ChatGPT have a free version, have a pro version. So the free version, you use 3.5, ChatGPT, which kind of gives you faster output, a little bit less creativity. And GPT-4, gives you more creativity, and also too, with having such a big wide spread of users there, it can also go down a lot. So what they did is they put ChatGPT kind of like in a different paywall. So if it goes down, 9 times out of 10, ChatGPT with GPT-4, the pro version, is still up. And 2.2 million people said, I'm willing to pay for that because I'm using that much. I'm one of those. $20 a month, take it. Right, take it. I'm mad I can't pay for it for the whole year. Like, hey.
This is my best editor. It's like the New York Times best-selling author editor. So everything I come up with, I write, I put it in there, correct it, grammatically. It makes it sound like $1 million. Everything.
Piggybacking off of that, everything, like I said, I've had access to the back end of this for like 3 years. I haven't wrote an email in 3 years. I haven't wrote an email in 3 years. Yeah.
Is that because you had OpenAI
Mm-hmm.
access to it before?
Yeah.
Okay.
So initially, when the platform started, they created, you had the API, which allowed engineers, companies, and everything to kind of use it. Then you had a playground version too as well, which is just like, kind of like typing in and like, trying different things out. And so initially, it wasn't a lot of like really usability things that you kind of integrate. It was things like they did a little bit of sensitive analysis where like, hey, tell me if this review is positive, or negative. Hey, write like a little poem for me. Help me write this subject. Things like that. And it was very, interesting. This is like GPT-2, and then we had 3 come out, and things kind of changed. But I realized very early, I'm like, man, I could use a lot of this day to day. I don't like writing emails myself. So I might write it as a context, as like, hey, write an email to my manager, let them know I'm going to be out Thursday and Friday for these 3 reasons, but also too, as well, these are the 3 things that I've done to make sure that X project stays on track.
Does it have voice automation, like you just speak to it? Do they have that ability?
So the question is, does it have voice automation? It does. Not on the consumer side yet, or anything, but with the engineers, yeah, a lot of people are taking advantage of it. There's actually a model called Whisper that they announced. This is early this year. It's called Whisper, basically where you can take in, voice. I'll show you how that works in a second, and you can do a lot of things with that. So we've been talking and everything about these, these large language models and, AI. What makes these things so different from like what we've already experienced, what we already have today? And there's three things mostly and everything. The first thing is the system, everything. So basically, this gives you ability to give it instructions. You know, like, hey, you're going to be a chef, and kind of wait for my guided stuff in there. The second thing is you as the user, because your experience is completely different, from what most people are going to use it for. So the ability to adapt to what you want, what you're looking for, how you want to use it, that makes it a game changer. The biggest aspect of this as well is the assistant aspect. I want you to act as, I want you to think like, I want you to be, and then and then from there I'm gonna fill in instructions. So for example, I want you to act as a weight loss coach. Here's the 5 things I want to eat. Here are my goals, my weight. Also, by the way, I'm allergic to tuna, nutmeg, milk. I want you to create a recipe and everything for me to help me, lose weight over the next 6 months. Act as. I think that alone really, I'm gonna show you some examples in a second of how different they can make things. So, as owners, as entrepreneurs, as builders and stuff for yourself, one of the biggest mindset shifts that we have to make in this area, and typically we do this and everything with technology a lot, is we gotta get in a buy versus build method. Everything. So what does that mean? Everything. Buy versus build is like, hey, am I gonna use somebody else's tool? So am I gonna use ChatGPT, for the solution? Am I gonna use, Mid-Journey, Stable Diffusion? Or does it make sense to kind of like build my own? Everything. And I'm gonna show you some examples of both. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, here are some of the main things that we gotta think about if we're thinking about building our own. Everything. So we got to look at things like accuracy. Typically with accuracy, how precise stuff we got to get it. In these areas, you still need like software engineers and stuff involved to kind of help you with this. There's a thing called fine tuning. We got to look at things like error rate. How wrong is it give it? There's a thing called hallucination right now that's going on with artificial intelligence, which means is sometimes when it doesn't have the right answer, it'll just make up an answer. It's right now it's like a puppy. It just want to please you. It just want to make sure it gives you, what you're asking for. So very, very little right now you're gonna see responses like, I don't know, in consumer-facing products like ChatGPT. Productivity. How big of a increase will we see productivity? If we're building our own. That can scale to more different things. Impact. How big of an impact and stuff what we're going to see. Will this solution help us, make more money? Will customers complain less? Will they help us figure out the certain thing faster, quicker, better? Customer satisfaction, it's kind of the same thing. Training time and cost. This is when you're building your own. This is something now, right, as of today, you just got to think about. Like I said, there's a thing called fine tuning, which basically you're starting to take a large language model and you start to kind of have it focus on one particular area. So what if you want to take a large language model and you wanted to start to create recipes? You might want to give it 1,000-page recipes and everything. And then also too, you want to start to, create new recipes for certain communities. For certain people who have certain allergies, to maybe help bridge the gap and everything in, different communities from maybe like Black and Hispanic. How can you combine, certain desserts and everything that may have a liking for both? Fine tuning. Cost savings, Would it be some type of way, that AI can help us save money? I think 8 is a really interesting one because we've been talking so much about how it can replace, add to, but as of today, you still need a human involved, especially if you're doing it as a business. It'd be so easy to get sued now, so you need human and stuff in the loop. And then turnaround time, how fast, can some of these things, have, can we get it to the consumer? MailChimp is working on one. They just announced theirs. There's gonna be, I think it's launched in December. Where they'll be help you write emails, focus on certain, consumers, revenue streams. Zoom is working on theirs, which I'll be very, very interested. I'm gonna say that one. I'm gonna save that one in a second.
There's not a lot of data.
Huh?
There's not a lot of data because each of those meetings that we were having during COVID or whenever they started,
She mentioned they have a lot of data, which is one of the biggest concerns.
They just changed the law so that they can just get everybody their data now. They just changed the user terms of agreement.
yeah, but they have all those recordings that we allow
They
them
can't
to
touch it.
have. No? Okay.
Going forward, after they accept the new terms of agreement, so, and if you use the old content on any of their new services that utilize their AI, they have access to it. So pretty much you can't use any other services besides recording or anything else, where they help you or their systems help you. They have access to their license and everybody else's license on it.
Training data
It's not just training data.
for them. Yeah.
No, the way they have it written is that they can use your likeness for whatever.
Commercials, advertising. Yeah.
Whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Because there are models now, like, I mean, AI that can take some, can create your face on anything, like an artificial you,
Hmm.
right? So they can take your eyes, they can take your lips, they can take his beard, and so they don't hurt face.
But it's illegal.
Create somebody else.
It's illegal until you sign your rights away. It's supposed to be illegal.
In certain platforms, but not widely. This is where the Europe AI Act is coming into play. So as of today, it's still fair game. I mean, this is why also where we're seeing companies like Twitter, Reddit, are putting policies in and say, hey, you can't scrape our data. It's still doable, and yeah. But there's no law as of today where it says like, hey, as a Y entity, you can't do it.
It can fall underneath the defamation. Depending on if it's off your brand, you can say, hey, this negativity affected my livelihood, my life, my reputation, and then you go after that way.
You may make a case for it, but there's no typically no AI Act as of today. Yeah. So this is where the U of AI Act and stuff is coming into place to kind of help with some of these things. And I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see that fast tracked. If it's not here yet, when the elections get here, because we'll definitely see the ability, how some of these things can be integrated. So, buy versus build, or anything for your AI solutions and everything. When you're building your own, it kind of gives you the ability to do unlimited customizations. I'm gonna show you an email component and stuff here in a second. Flexibility, certain these things and everything. Flexibility is gonna be really, really big, especially when, like Derek said and everything, especially when the AI Act does get here, because then you'll be able to adapt and adjust and stuff, certain things. Control integration. You make sure some of these things, work well and everything that you already use and everything, for yourself or your consumer. So you have the ability, to really kind of like get as precise and stuff as you want to. Also we got to think about added expense, because right now it's still expensive to kind of build your own in certain areas when it comes to like the full aspect of that. But and then also to the time as well. Uh, OpenAI, they didn't put this out publicly, but there's rumored so when you're kind of training some of these large language models, you got to use a tool called GPUs. So we use CPUs and stuff every single day. GPUs are graphic cards and everything. We typically saw is really popular for gamers and for like gaming devices or custom computers and everything. But now a lot of GPUs are being used, to train, AI models. And that right there is still something like one of the most expensive things to kind of get your hands on. So there is a particular one called an A100 and an H100. And so those are like some of like the top shelf ones for GPUs to kind of like train, your model and stuff on. It's rumored that OpenAI use 1,000, like north of 1,000 A100s, and it took them like 3 months to train GPT-4 time. A100, that GPU is like 5,000 north, 10,000, just for that one right there. But right now, everybody is so, because they know how valuable it is. If I had one A100, you would offer me a whole lot of money, to get it off me. But it's extremely valuable. Also, too, A100s, GPUs wasn't created, for this use case at all. The CTO of OpenAI, he actually figured this out and told the founder of NVIDIA that you need to start using your GPUs for this use case. And the entire company of NVIDIA, it's the entire company, but the leadership of NVIDIA didn't have any clue that it can be used for, for AI training. And it's also why we're seeing companies like Intel get involved now. There's another one that was announced lately. They're starting to kind of make their own GPUs as well. So going back to, like the act as, I want you to, using these things, these tools and the assistant and everything, we do all this by writing prompts. We do all this by writing prompts and everything in it. So, when you're writing prompts, for like tools like ChatGPT, and so on, there's typically like 4 main steps and everything you want to like focus on. So first one is content and everything. So you want to give it a question, command, statement, or a combination of such. 2 is like be as clear as you possibly can. It does help you kind of fill in some of the gaps of what it thinks you're asking for, but the more clear and stuff you are, some of the better results and stuff that you're going to get. 3 is experiment. You definitely just want to, kind of like try multiple different variations, multiple different ways. I'm at a place right now where I'm creating a prompt and I'm putting in ChatGPT, Bard, and also to Microsoft Bing as well, just to kind of see what type of response if I get. 4 is the game-changing one, like I mentioned, is I want you to act as. Because in a large language model space and everything, it gets the AI to focus in an area. So I say, hey, I want you to act as, a marketing professional, a sales coach, and it gets you to focus up in the area. So all the data and stuff it has, it can kind of filter out a lot of it and kind of focus in the area, kind of give you some of the best responses and stuff there. So, what does all this mean? How can all this be used? So I'm gonna show you some higher level examples of such, and then I'm gonna bring it back down. Cause I just wanna make sure you like your mind wanders and stuff here as well. Actually, no. Let's start there, like that. So, okay, here we go. We'll start. So here's a prompt and everything. It says, I want you to act as a social media manager responsible for developing and executing campaigns across all relevant platforms. Engage with the audience by responding to questions, comments, monitor conversations throughout the community management tools. Use analytics to measure success, create engaging content, and update regularly. My first suggestion, this one, my first suggestion request is I need help managing the presence of an organization on Twitter in order to increase a brand awareness. Everything. So this is very broad, and everything. But let's see what it says. Is that big enough?
Now, do you use this output word for word, or you just kind of like fine tune it yourself using human intelligence, of course? Do you,
What's the question again? I'm sorry.
um, once you get this type of fine tune it yourself, or do you have
Yeah.
like,
So yeah. So she's asking like, do I just kind of copy it and go? Is that a fair way?
yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes if I like to respond, sometimes I'm like, hey, it's kind of general. I want you to be a little bit more specific. So let's see. Um, I have a dog breeding. Now it starts to get a little bit more focused since I gave you like additional information, and it's still very, broad. You know. But then I can get as precise as I, want to.
you can expound on that, but you don't have to do a different.
Yeah, this process is called chain of thought. And everything. And so basically, the more you have essentially conversations with it, that process is called chain of thought. As it keeps going, it keeps getting an understanding of what you're looking for, and it just kind of keeps finding, tuning what you're asking for.
Yeah, because the order is in the same way.
Mhm.
Is that because you train it like this?
No, so this is on the consumer level. So this is just ChatGPT. This is OpenAI's platform and what they built with it and everything. I just figure out and everything how to get it to focus in certain areas when I'm looking for the best results. So again, that is, there's plenty of ways and everything to do this and everything. So, giving to act as, I have it to act as a social media manager. You can get it act as a sales coach and all the different things like that, as well. So I'm gonna show you some of the ways that I've built and everything and ways I've used it and show you kind of how advanced and stuff it get. Actually, let's start with this one.
It's not 5,000 anymore. It's $16,000 for one of those cards.
Oh, with
GPU.
the GPUs.
And it takes 6 weeks to get them. This is a resale, CDW.com.
Right. So let's see here. So in my last workshop, a friend of mine doing a workshop, I just had him write me this email. It says, "Hi, Marlon. I want you to be sure that you have everything you need for our meeting with Elon Musk next week. He wants to discuss investment in Marlon 3000 Tech Company, and he will ask about the market, the competitors, the team, Let me know if you need anything from me. I mean, we all of us get emails every single day. All of us, emails are part of our strategy, our sales process, our closing process. What if you had an assistant in between that automatically responded? Hey, Mr. Sorry, thank you for emailing me and for providing me with the details for the upcoming meeting with Mr. Musk. Your assistance is much appreciated. Regarding the points he would like to discuss, I will assure you the necessary information about the market competitors and our team carefully compiled and presented during the meeting. I believe we have the most of what we need at this stage. However, your expertise and insights are invaluable. If it's not too much to ask, could you possibly provide additional insights about Mr. Musk's investment patterns, the tendencies that might further aid our preparations in the meeting? Thank you for your continued support. I'm looking forward to your successful meeting with Mr. Musk. Best regards. 100% AI generated. And by the way, I didn't touch it in the middle. I wrote some code and I said, hey, so I wrote some code. We might say you want to have it to act as a role. And I said, hey, you're an email assistant designed to respond to both personal and business inquiries, craft responses in a formal tone, ensuring each email is addressed appropriately. So when he sent the response, the AI, so basically what I built in, what it does is anytime it gets a response, it looks for unread messages like every minute. And so when it finds one, everything, it will read the content and everything of it, that's text or HTML. So it read the content of it, draft the response, send it to me for verification, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll just copy and paste and send it on. Now, what happens when this gets introduced into your operations fully? Because now I'm creating a, 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 um, a modeling agency, looking to, do partnerships with some of the biggest brands. So I have to cast models, close them out, have to have a relationship with the big brands, close them out, maybe a partnership in between. What if possibly you have an AI email assistant that adapts to each scenario? I didn't mention tone and personality. Hey, email assistant, I want you to act as a professional black woman. I have 16 years of experience and stuff in this area. Your responses always need to be crisp, intelligent, and at the end of every email, I want you to write an inspiration quote from Maya Angelou. That's just in one of your offices. Because now I have the ability to create an email assistant via personnel and everything for every department in my business. Thoughts, questions before I move on? Yes, sir.
ChatGPT gives you the ability to even build out a persona. So the prompt could be, hey, give me 10 black personas, African American personas, and you have a whole list of personas, and you plug that persona into exactly what he just said. So it works. It really just takes over everything. Everything gives you each page, it's just how you talk to you.
I'll take it a step further. Somebody mentioned um, voice earlier or anything with AI. So also too, we're at a place right now where artificial intelligence is becoming not structurally, but principles more like human beings. Meaning, right now it has the ability to see. That process of seeing is called computer vision. So we see this in airplanes, we see this in Teslas. It has the ability to see everything. So it also has the ability to hear everything. So I mentioned earlier the OpenAI model is called Whisper. And now it has the ability to talk and smell. We'll see what happens with that. Somebody probably figure it out. But so let's do this. I don't let this overwhelm you. So basically, I wrote a small program where I say, man, and I just kind of want to see what I can figure it out. I said, man, we're at a place now where we're doing a lot of Zoom calls and things like that. And there's tools called like Otter, voice recording, Google, like all these different things, and they're giving me responses and transcripts, and it's fine, but I wanted to do a little bit more. So basically, what I built was I built this tool where I can give you any audio file, and it's going to use the API. I'm sorry, it's going to use the OpenAI model Whisper that we talked about to listen, to the audio file, and then from there, I give it a role to what I want to do with it. So, example. So here, I says, hey, what I want you to do with every audio file that you get, I want you to create a summary of the audio file, key points of the audio file, action items, if you heard any, and then a sentiment analysis of that audio file. So going back to what he just said, the reason I go to the example is he's absolutely right. You can use something like ChatGPT to kind of create your persona, your personality, as the AI version of you. Or you can just have it listen to you. Because it also may pull out some things that you forgot to mention. Like, man, Marlon's kind of quirky. When he gets excited about this subject and everything, let me add that in. So you can do both and. So here we go. I give it a multiple different roles stuff as well. So this one here says you are a high-skill AI trained language comprehension and summarization. I'd like you to read the following text, summarize it into a concise, abstract paragraph, and extract key points and things like that. Here's one of the beautiful things about this is that where everything changes, what I said, assign it a role, is that there is no limit right now to how many roles you can assign. So once that data, that file, that transcript process, you can have it do multiple different things and stuff from there. Example. So you can say, hey, you have this transcript now. Hey, with this transcript, I want you, your first AI assistant, I want you to write a blog. Second AI assistant, I want you to write an email, to your consumers, let them know that product X is almost ready. Third email, I want you to take this and everything, write an email to the board, give them an update. Fourth AI assistant, hey, and then from this and everything, I want you to create 16 social media posts that we're going to implement, from this summer as well.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
You asked the question, what was it here about AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about, you know how to write code. So all of this you're able to do because you're writing the code that's allowing the
Yeah.
programs to do this.
I'm gonna show you an example of how you can do it. Yeah, I'm gonna show you an example. But this becomes endless now. One of the beautiful things and everything where the AI community started to figure out, especially when they started to give it text, we thought that it was just going to learn how to write, and it did, and it does a pretty good job. What we didn't think was going to happen, it was going to start to learn the writing principles. That was new. English writing principles, Spanish writing principles, CEO writing principles, bake shop writing principles. Yes, sir. Huh? The way a CEO writes and the way a lawyer writes is two different things. The way I write as a software engineer and the way the marketing team write is two different things. Now we're talking about adaptability. Because remember, like I said, if I want to create an AI assistant for the marketing team, I'm gonna have it write like a marketer. Or if I want to target big brands and everything to make sure I land this deal, I'm gonna have it use some of the lingo of big brands. Going back to McKinsey and Company saying that this is going to add 2.2 to 4.4 trillion dollars to the economy. Everything. One of the most skipped over processes that I've been thinking a lot about this is that I'm pretty sure they included, but mom and pop shops. This puts them back in the game.
That's in
Use it.
the,
Yeah. Well, that too. Thank you. Yeah, but if they use it for sure. But it puts it back in the game. Because now, you know, um, when the mom and pop shops and everything, just they don't want anything stuff to do with like how to do the websites, but they know how to get in there and kind of change some of the words. Now just give them the ability to copy and paste a lot of it, put it in ChatGPT and say, hey, I want you to rewrite this and everything and have it focused towards 18-year-old girls who like cheerleading for after school programs. You got a question?
Which language model did you use for that response?
Say it again.
Language model did you use for
Oh, that was GPT-4.
ChatGPT?
Yeah. Yeah, so I used the API of GPT-4. Hmm. His question was, which language model did I use to do the email response? Everything.
is that possible with 3.5?
Yeah. I just like, and 3.5 is cheaper, everything. I just like using GPT-4. And when I say cheaper, like right now, my highest API bill was last month, and that was like $51. And I'm building all these solutions and different things like every week. You got a question? Hmm. Yes, sir.
That Google script you wrote to reply to the emails, is there a resource to find any pre-written ones?
Like the entire code base? No, so again, I don't think he was here earlier, but like I said, I'm a software engineer, and I said like, it gives me the ability to build everything I think of. I built that in like 3 in the morning, and it just came to me, and then I was like, man, I wonder if I could, and I was like, and I built in like an hour. I haven't seen anybody else like work on something like this. As far as like I mean, there's email assistant stuff now. Like Google has integrated their own, but now they get the ability to give it personality, tone, style. I think I'm pretty sure it may be coming, but at a widespread level, I haven't seen it yet. Yes, sir.
Okay, so for me, I have no background in coding,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that ChatGPT creates code.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it create code for me. I
Mm-hmm.
use it for email, HTML.
Right.
But it would create templates with ChatGPT to plug into. I use ConvertKit. So it's a plugin to ConvertKit. I'm actually currently using it right now with Copilot. I just created a code last night to plug it into Copilot with HTML.
Mm-hmm.
It worked instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit that
Yeah,
most people will see. But could I have built that in ChatGPT and took it over to that and did the same thing?
for sure. This goes back to content and understand, like, and as a software engineer, I kind of know what to give it and everything. You know, now this is a very interesting question because now we're at a place where you can say, hey, I'm looking to build this, but I have no understanding of the code. Can you start me off at a level one and walk me through this? I'll show you an example of that in a second. Yes, sir.
Are you programming in Python? What language is this?
Google Apps Script has their own language. It's like GS something. It's called Google Script. It's a version of JavaScript. You know.
And so the API, you're connecting
Mostly Python when I do that one.
ChatGPT API?
No, no, no. Yeah, when I'm building via API, I mostly use Python. Yeah, and I just learned Python like a couple weeks ago. And so,
It's a great course. I did the same thing. I did it a couple years ago, but Python for Good on Code Academy, University of Michigan. Just go through and run through everything. I mean, it's one of the best and easiest courses. Python for everybody. Python for everybody.
so here's one of those 2 a.m. solutions that I was thinking through, and you have the ability to. So, like you just said, I'm combining those two. Like you say, yo, I don't have any idea and stuff how to code and everything, so for sure. I didn't know. I mean, there's thousands of like engineering languages. Microsoft has a language called VBA. I've never heard of this. I don't know how to write in it, like nothing. Ew. I just no, I haven't and everything. I read through and I was like, okay, no, I don't want to deal with this. I've never heard of this until this point. Everything, a VBA. So, but what I did start to figure out that VBA is kind of like Google Apps Script. Kind of gives you the ability to do some things behind the scenes. Watch this. What if you have a subject, a talk, and everything, you have no clue what to do, how to build your slides, where you can get AI to help you build your slides. This is a recording of myself doing this. So I just got it. Oh, so like I said, going back to, I used ChatGPT to help me write this in VBA because I had no clue and stuff how to do it. I think the topic was like AI sponsorships, like sponsorship deck for like AI, something like that. Save it, play, boom.
So was that the code and then?
Yeah, and I just YouTube how to, put it into like their like the VBA system.
Does it even matter if kids know how to code now?
So what's interesting about that question? Her question is like, does it even matter how kids how to code now? I think a lot of companies will keep a lot of people are saying like, hey, it's going to replace engineers or anything. Man, Netflix just put up a job posting for for a level L7 software engineer. Total salary is 900,000. I don't see it going away in person. Because also too, to build a lot of these solutions that we're figuring out every single day, you still in the depth of it still got to know how to code. Yes, sir.
Yes, I don't know if you saw this, but I recently saw that Google is launching an application. It's Duet AI.
Yeah.
It's a new application for Google Workspace, which is Gmail, Sheets, everything. That is kind of like also an assistant
Mm-hmm.
that will help you to build presentations and also throughout the email days just by asking, oh, I need to make a presentation about last view, something, report, whatever. You're gonna pull all your documents, all your sheets, every Excel, everything you have, and make a presentation. You can create an email instantly with the people involved. Also, use some kind of application, I think. I made an application that for this event that we prepared.
Shoot.
close up some emails and whatever, it's going to build you some things too. So it's kind of, it's very new. So I would like to know a little bit more about it, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I watched their presentation and stuff of it. Um, yeah, I watched their presentation of it. I didn't dive into it and stuff as of yet. It's on my to-do list and everything. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's not the guilty name or anything. It's very
I'm curious. What is your prediction on, okay, let me start this way. So ChatGPT came out, OpenAI came out like publicly in November of last year, right?
ChatGPT, OpenAI have been around for like 7 years.
But there are other alternatives. In the space of like 6 months, there have already been different alternatives to that, plugins, you name it, with code, with ways to code,
Right.
ways to do, generate all those things. What is your prediction based on what you just said about coding? That yes, you should know how to do it, but is that really what most people want to do, or? I mean, I'm sure there would be lots of jobs that would require
I,
high-paying ones.
I'll give you an example. I really had to talk myself out of starting a new company. There's a coding boot camp that has an AI assistant per student. I think when it comes to companies, every company, hey, um,
Using it, but also perfecting the human component,
yeah,
the human skills, teachers, for instance, not just not just giving information and thinking that's it, but also the 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 touch, the human soft skills, the thing that makes you human, right?
hmm
The computer can never surpass that. It
no,
has to
we're
be all
there.
about.
When it comes to soft skills, you're talking about things like empathy.
Yes,
Yes, we're there.
and that's what therapists do. They give you that.
We're there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're
You
there.
think the AI is
We're
not
there.
ready?
We're there. To the point where there's companies right now starting to build AI girlfriends and boyfriends.
They've been doing that in Japan for a long time now.
Yeah, because a bit, and yeah, because of one of the biggest things that they figure out is sentiment. So I'll show you an example. So remember I just said with this audio with this audio example using OpenAI's Whisper, I gave it. I had a call. There was a neurologist. We're building a solution for him. There's a neurologist on the other coast. His team is getting like 3 to 4 thousand calls a month, and his team can only get to like half of them. The medical system they're using right now for the phone, um, they don't receive voicemails. You know, it's just not working and stuff right now. So he came to me and said, "Hey, can we build an AI phone agent?" Yes,
And AI
yes.
also,
Well, basically, it will take over eventually, take over the phone lines. We can have natural language conversations with the patient. So we had this conversation and stuff with him, trying to get an understanding of like what he's looking for and all this thing like that. That tool I just showed you, here's the results. It created a summary. You know, say, hey, this text is ideal. Is integrating an AI solution to manage phone duties in a large neurospecialist practice for multiple offices. So the system would initially handle answering calls, messages, and gradually take over more tasks, such as appointments, managing check-ins and check-outs. That's a summary and stuff that they gave. Key points. So the speaker is considering an AI solution to handle the phone duties. Say the practice is to receive a high volume of calls. Lodging about 3,000 calls a month. So it pull in the key points and stuff from the call. Remember I gave it that role. That was one of the roles and stuff that he gave it. Next, action items. Is listening. I'm also controlling this as well. One of the action items says, hey, you need to find an AI solution to take over the phone duties, including answering calls and messages. Integrate the AI solution for the rest of the system, including setting appointments, doing check-ins, and it keeps just like kind of listening to extract key points. I'm sorry, action items. Let's take a step further than this. What happens when you include this into your organization, to your office, where now the calls that you're having, it can include you of what's going on in that call when you're not even at work. Hey, by the way, we need to make sure we send this recording or name to Susan. She's on PTO right now. Action item. It has the ability to then right there. It can at her and send it to her email. She's not at work.
The ultimate 2-hour birthday.
The last component is over this sentiment. This is why I said we're at that place right now where it can do those things. The sentiment of this text is neutral. So the speaker is discussing potential solutions for the problem. Um, so the speaker is not expressing any strong or positive or negative emotions and stuff of this. Going back to what my man over there said to as well is that you can give it this type of tool and also help you extract and create a personality of such.
Then how does it work? Gotta answer the phone?
We're almost done with it. Yeah, we're almost done with it. So basically, it uh, surface level, yeah, it'll answer the phone, everything, and so the person was like, "Hey, we're gonna schedule an appointment," and everything. And so if it say schedule appointment, everything, we haven't integrated it yet, but right now it will just forward to the necessary like nurse, so like you're booking an appointment. But eventually, it will be able to read the calendar and just book an appointment and stuff over the phone. Hey, yeah.
I mean, is it not like how, the bank skills, they integrated it, bro? Is that not the same concept?
So banks, there's a process called uh, uh, there's a term for I can't think of it. All systems right now that has an integrated AI is like a step-by-step process. So when you say a keyword, it does this. When you say another keyword, it does this and everything. AI is all based on probability. So it listens to the entire conversation. There's a tool called Transformers where it listens to the why aspect of what you're talking about, and then from there has a probability to score that you mean this. So it has like a sometimes and you can scale this like a 97% probability score, or you want to go refill your prescriptions and everything, and then it does that. But what happens when it has a 0% probability score because maybe you have a heavy dialect or whatever it might be, then it can just automatically forward you to, an operator. Or understand what language you're speaking and it'll forward you to a necessary person who speaks your language. Or transitions in real time of the AI switching to your language. There's no longer, hey, for Spanish, press 2. As soon as you pick up the phone, hola, boom, switches.
What Discord group should we join?
Huh?
What Discord group should we join?
Say it again.
What Discord group should we join?
Oh man, that's I recommend one. I would say OpenAI is really good. OpenAI has a Discord group, and everything where they give. If it loads, okay, yeah. So yeah, they have a Discord group where they're like just talking about different things, just like from prompt engineering. They do give you like a prompt library where people are writing different examples of like how they've written prompts to like help solve like X, Y, and Z. It can be overwhelming. Just take it a day by a time. and stuff. There's millions of people and stuff that's in this community. So those are two examples and stuff there. Last example and everything. I've showed this a few times. Actually, we'll do. I think it's this one. Okay, yeah. So I mentioned earlier I built an AI grant writer. I rebuilt it as well as like a little baseline solution. So here it takes in a friend of mine's allowed me to use like three of her past grants. And so what it does is it go reads those grants, it extracts it, the text and stuff from there. Um, then it does a process called embedding, where basically it has to kind of break it up into like smaller characters and everything for it to like kind of take in and understand more, better and stuff what what it's saying. So right now it doesn't do a good job of like reading, you know, 365 pages all at once. It has to like break it up into like smaller documents slash characters. And so from there, again, you can write this out. I gave it to like a database, and then from there you can give it a role, an assignment, and says, hey, you are experienced graph writing, craft compelling, persuasive responses for nonprofit organizations. Focus on, you know, A, B, and C. Then the question stuff that I gave it, I said, hey, please provide an overview of for your organization, includes a mission statement, history, key achievements to mental health support for young women. And here's a response stuff they gave. This is not pulling from ChatGPT. This is using the structural thought process of ChatGPT, but pulling from her past grants. From her past grants. Grants. Yeah. I put it in here. So it's up here. It's just these three. Yeah. And they roll out. So typically, when it's like a large scale, is a platform. It's something called like vector databases, where you will store the information. Companies like Pinecone right now does this, or Chroma. Last example is kind of using that kind of like same concept of like giving it PDFs, giving it PDFs, but also too, PDFs is just like one source of information. So you mentioned like we have the ability now to listen. You can listen to anything. You can listen to files, or you can listen to videos. So what I gave it is I gave it a bunch of YouTube videos. I gave it a bunch of YouTube videos or anything. He's actually from a friend of mine's. Friend, he's the head of product growth of a former company. I'm not gonna say who it is, but head of product growth of a former company. But he's an individual who's helped me understand how to like really structure out like my tech career. How to negotiate salaries, how to find higher level positions, and all different things like that. So basically, I started to build an AI version of him.
Does he know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'm using ChatGPT API to understand the engineering component of how to write, but I'm using products like the Whisper model to listen to these files. So what it does is it plays each file. Actually, it's here. It's up here somewhere. So what it does is it plays each file, it listens to each file, it takes the audio of that file, and it transcribes it into text and everything, and then it sends it to ChatGPT and everything to do anything else and stuff you want with it. You still got a little code and everything, but I'll show you a tool and stuff in a second of how you can do some of these things.
So, Okay, so I've been using Chat GPT or Whisper, and one of the things that
Yeah.
Chat
So
GPT,
you can have them talk to each other.
and you're gonna show us how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you say you drop the PDF or you drop these YouTubes, like how do you get them in? Like is it certain platforms?
And I'm gonna show you in a second. So this process is like so the whole example is I'm showing you like the advanced level of how some of these things work. Then I'm gonna show you how like we can do it, for everyday consumers. We can start doing some of these same things as well.
So for me, I'm thinking about like how I'm gonna create webinars, how I'm gonna create, how like I need marketing, stuff for
Hmm.
my business.
Hmm.
So this is gonna be very useful for me. So I'm just trying to understand how to do it. You
Yeah,
understand? Okay.
I'm gonna show you in a second. But yeah, so this is like another example of like how you can do multiple different sources. So everything from PDFs to YouTube's videos to Twitter profiles, IMBD, movie reviews, like whatever you want to include, Google reviews, restaurant reviews. You can pull from all different sources. Anything via text, it can read and understand.
So where do we go to get started with using the API and all these other APIs? And I want to do a YouTube video that gets you started, launching.
So typically, I don't like to suggest tools because right now we're in the wild, wild west of AI, meaning a tool today could be gone tomorrow. But one of the best tools right now that is like a no code platform is a platform called Flowwise. So conceptually, with a lot of these things, stuff that I've already mentioned, you can do, a lot of these things stuff, with Flowwise without having.
Expensive?
No, it's free.
Oh, can you leave that on so I can
Oh yeah.
thank you.
So you use Flowwise, or what did you use?
So I custom built all my stuff, everything. But Flowwise is a no code platform that you can use to get a lot of these same, solutions. Everything. So for example, these individuals and everything, they built a Q&A bot and everything from past information, and it gave it a language, translation chain, a chat bot that has memory, and it just has like tons of examples and everything of like how it can work.
So
So,
you build all of yours in Google Script, or you have an IDE that you use?
so I use Google geez, what's the name of it? Colab. Colab. So this is essentially just like a drag and drop tool that you can use. I mean, there to be a little bit of, so you see how they just like kind of dragging and dropping certain things and stuff here. There's a small learning curve and stuff like that too as well. So just kind of be patient with yourself. But right now, this is like the best tool right now to do like a lot of these even custom solutions that I've been building via code. How you can do this without knowing how to code.
So what you do is you go and you identify, you figure out, you map out all of your problems, what you need for it from an infrastructure standpoint, and then you go and you identify solutions if they have an API, you plug and play, make it happen.
Yeah, that's my hobby right now.
If you were me, how would you start this?
Download Flowwise. Because it has ton like there's already YouTube, a bunch of YouTube videos stuff of it that'll walk you through it and everything. You don't need to know necessarily how to code. Everything. So like yeah, download Flowwise. And so that like I said, Flowwise you can connect your website to talk to ChatGPT to basically then be built in a chat bot that you just need to implement on your website via HTML. Or you can give it past documents, PDFs, YouTube videos. Yep. So it's a no-code platform. and everything that you figure out.
Websites have tutorials. So you just go through the tutorial and you get your bearings. Then you can go to the documentation to learn how to master it.
Yeah, the thing about like even these documentations with these platforms, they're all written for engineers. So like just for like the day-to-day person, it can be overwhelming, it can be consuming. But anything even now, some stuff that I don't understand, I just copy and paste it to ChatGPT and say, hey, explain this like I'm five. I do their research papers now. So anything I don't understand at a very, very high level, I just use ChatGPT to get it to break it down stuff for me. So going back to what we saw on the graph over there, where it says like the technical difficulty of implementing these things was like 58%. That's when I say those numbers are coming down because you have the ability to use no code platforms or use something like ChatGPT to try and get it explained to you, so you can kind of get the ball rolling. You like I say, you don't necessarily know how to code at an advanced level, at the beginning level and everything. Just know how to kind of like do a thought process of taking one step to another, and just be patient with yourself because all this is new. Everybody figuring this out, including like some of the big companies. So don't feel like you're, oh, this is a lot. I'm not getting it. Just be patient with yourself. Trying to pull this up. Questions and stuff as we're closing out and stuff here. Concerns. Overwhelming. That's intentional.
So how would there be any benefit to come into the educational one and the nonprofit one? Nonprofit from the perspective of I do work for a county government,
Hmm.
but educational is from the perspective of just really understanding how to create educational products.
What department you work in?
Public housing.
Miami Dade.
Yes.
I'm doing. I don't know when, but I'm doing a workshop for the Miami Dade employees and stuff pretty soon, like internally. They haven't scheduled a day and everything, but would be beneficial. Yes, I'll be talking about more so like from of like how to the thought process of how to start integrating some of these things, and then on the educational one, that's probably my favorite one. I be talking about basically how learning is going to change and how it needs to change, but just a quick standpoint. I've already built a tool where you can give it a classroom, 30 students, and for each student, select their learning style and give it a subject or curriculum, and it rewrites the entire curriculum based on that person's learning style. China's already doing this too, by the way.
Is that an article that exists already?
Wait, what?
The, how learning is going to change? Or
No,
is that something you
yeah, that's
built?
something I built.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Why this is not loading? Oh, there we go.
You would have to know the child's learning style.
Mhm.
And
So,
a lot of times the classes are not about neurodiversity, it's about just the curriculum. And so how do you get your data? You're going to have to get some personal data too.
wait, as far as like for the teaching aspect,
Yeah, going back to how you're going, how learning is going to change. Um, are you just using classroom? How,
well, I'm showing a custom solution that I built as an example of how learning needs to change and how it can change, and stuff. So,
interesting.
yeah, it's taking forever. Um, but yes, all this is overwhelming. It's supposed to be. Allow it to be. It's overwhelming for me, and I get it on an engineering standpoint. But don't allow that to deter you away from learning and figure out how to, because again, everybody's figuring this out. All these solutions are being built every single day. There's a research paper every single day of new solutions, new ways, new thought processes, all different things. It's going to be overwhelming. That's fine, but don't allow it to, deter your way.
Do you think that AI is going to give Black entrepreneurs, Black creatives, a little bit of equality in terms of access to different things now? I mean, level the playing field? Is that a crazy question to ask you?
I would say this. Actually, I think it's there. Can you do me a favor? I think that those numbers are still on that whiteboard. Can you flip it, or maybe the other night, maybe the other whiteboard? The ChatGPT numbers that I wrote last time. I think I saw it up there still today. Yeah. Okay. So this was like a couple months ago. Uh, 18% of Americans have heard of ChatGPT. Heard, not used. Heard. Of the 18%, 49% is Asians, 20% are Hispanics, 17% are white, and I think it's 14% are black. Also, too, as of right now, the Indian community is included with Asians.
The Indians.
Yeah. So the question that you ask is that yes, it has every tool, it will have every tool to equal the playing field, but it's also if we use it, if we're learning about it, if we're teaching others and stuff about it. Because as you see right now, there's already a head start, and that's not even a quarter of the population. But it definitely. I think it was it Time? I think it was Time magazine just did an article, and they said that basically they already seen individuals who have integrated tools like ChatGPT has already seen a 20% increase in production.
Now, does production equate revenue?
Some areas, yeah. Because for me, production also looks like not writing emails anymore.
So you can concentrate on other things.
Yeah,
This is great. Thank you so much.
yeah, definitely. So this loads up. Here is I don't know. Feel free to book like some time and stuff with me. I do, you can do like a 15-minute session. I do anywhere from like a 30 minute to 1 hour consultations. If you have like a deeper understanding of a deeper question or anything you need to spend some time with, there's some question stuff there. I can help you figure out stuff that matters to your business, your organization, your company, into as well. And also too, these workshops and stuff that I do, everything, you can book me and everything for these workshops as well.
Thank you.
Definitely.